Hey guys, my name's Anthony and I will be talking about chlamydia today, so I'm gonna go and get started really fast. Some facts that I found out about chlamydia, or some key things, are that chlamydia can be found in both men and women. I honestly did not know that, so that was really shocking. um, Chlamydia is a sexually transmitted infection, STI, which is more common nowadays. It's caused by the bacteria Chlamydia trachomatis, and it's often prevented through the use of condoms or even abstinence since we got ED. Other common names are Chlamydia pseudoname and Chlamydia psittaci, and these are not necessarily STIs, they're just different strands or different forms of chlamydia, which cause respiratory infections in other animals, and psittaci mainly infects birds. Two forms of chlamydia are two forms. It takes into the body in two different ways, through the elementary body and the reticulate body. And it first starts off with the elementary body when it first infects the host, and after it infects the whole host, it will engulf through endocytosis, and this is a point where the host then gets infected by the bacteria. After this happens, the vacuole in the cells encloses around the bacteria to transition to the reticulate body from the elementary body. After this, a reticulate body uses the cell's ATP since the bacteria does not produce its own to make its own for the bacteria. And after this, the bacteria will divide and in the reticulate body and then transition back to the elementary body, and this keeps occurring while other host cells are being replicated. This is the nomenclature for chlamydia, which begins in the kingdom Bacteria, which follows into Chlamydiae phylum, and then the class Chlamydiae, same thing. Family Chlamydiales, sorry if I'm pronouncing these wrong. Order Chlamydiaceae, genus Chlamydia, and species Chlamydia trachomatis. Other nicknames that I found online were chlamydia is often referred to as the clam or the gooey stuff. I've never heard that personally, but that's what the internet says. And it's also a part of the Variomicrobia group, which I thought was pretty interesting. Some characteristics of C. trachomatis is that it's a gram-negative aerobic intracellular rod-shaped bacteria. After writing this slide, I actually found out that it's more a mix between cocci and bacillus bacteria, but I just left it at rod shape because it is more rod shaped in its form. So, following that, the life cycle usually lasts about 7 to 21 days inside the body. The first 3 days are usually just the cell being replicated, and that alternates between a non-replicating phase of the elementary body and then a replicating phase of the elementary body, and then non and replicating phase of the reticulate body. And it usually takes about 3 hours or so to develop and divide. Also, it cannot be grown artificially, so that means it cannot be grown on a medium. And like I said when I was explaining the process of it, it cannot process its own or develop its own ATP. So that's why they're also known as energy parasites. It also inhibits phagolysosomes in the fusion in phagocytosis. It's asymptomatic and it may lead to HIV if it's not treated. Some notable strains of C. trachomatis are these on the screen, and it has two biovars, and a biovar is a variant prokaryotic strain that differs physiologically or biochemically from other strains in a particular species. So we have the ocular renal, and that has the ocular C. trachomatis and the genital C. trachomatis. And the ocular C. trachomatis is responsible for mostly preventing blindness, and this often occurs in underdeveloped countries. We don't really see that in the US because I guess we're a first world country, and it mainly occurs in third world countries because they don't have adequate hygiene. Genital C. trachomatis is also known to be an STI, so that does happen globally. And then for invasive LGV, it infects the lymphatic tissue in the body, and there's around 15 serovars types of these inside the body. So a serovar is a distinct variation within a species. Some history of chlamydia is that it was first discovered in 1907 by Halberstaedter and von Prowazoc, and they saw intracytoplasmic inclusions and conjugal scrapings from subjects with trachoma. They actually found these in orangutans, monkeys, when they were doing studies, and they didn't really know what to do with the information, so they kind of just sat on it until in the 1930s isolated from when patients first isolated with LGV in the 1930s were seen with the same thing. And this is around the time when the epidemic of pneumonia happened, so that helped identify that pneumonia was a virus. In the 1960s, we saw the development of cell tissue isolation procedures caused by the breakthrough of the disease. And this was helpful because it allowed further research on it, even though, like I said, for the 1970s, I said that it did not become clinically recognized until then. This is because in the 1960s, they couldn't decide if it was something that was already discovered or if it was something that was new and they were still just trying to understand what it was. So it took a while for the scientists to understand what was going on. But they finally just figured out that it was something new, and they thought after thinking it was not new. Sorry. Um, some ways that it's transmitted is that it can be transmitted through sexual contact with an infected partner. This could be with um, different types of ways through sexual contact. It could be through contact with the penis, the vagina, and it could be through oral sex, contact with the mouth, or with the anus. Other ways are needle sharing, um, direct contact. It could be with if you touch something that not touch something, touch part of the body that has contracted chlamydia, and then you touch your eye. That's a way that you could get the eye infection, and then an infected mother to fetus. It's very important for a mother who is expecting to get tested for chlamydia because oftentimes people don't know that they have the infection, and a mother who is expecting a child could unexpectedly hand the disease or infection to their child without even knowing. So if a mother who doesn't get tested for chlamydia while expecting, they could pass their infection on to their child. And at-risk factors are sexually active women because the rate of chlamydia infection is at highest in this group of women, usually around the age of 25. If and they Because of this, they recommend a yearly screening for it. Uh, and another risk factor is pregnant women. Like I said, a pregnant woman who births a child while having chlamydia can cause birth defects, or conjunctivitis and pneumonia. And people with multiple partners, this applies to males and females because people who have multiple sex partners who don't always use condom, or men who have sex with other men, should consider screenings because they're highest at risk for infection and also just spreading the disease. Symptoms of chlamydia in men are penis discharge, a burning sensation while urinating, and pain and or swelling in the testicles. This is important to take note of, especially for men, because sometimes um, people who don't think that they can get an infection, they won't take into consideration the symptoms. So that's very important. For women, it's the same thing. We have vaginal discharge, burning sensation while urinating, and bleeding between periods and after sex. That's very bad, so you should take that seriously. Diagnosis are the urine test, the swab test, and the blood test. In the urine test, a sample of your urine is analyzed in the laboratory just to see if the infection is present in your urine. And um, your doctor takes a swab of your discharge from your cervix for culture, and testing of chlamydia. This can be done through a routine pap test, but some women prefer to actually swab their vagina themselves. So I thought that was pretty interesting. And for men, you can actually have your penis swabbed for just to check for the infection, and it goes in your urethra. Oh, sorry. The blood test is mainly done on babies, newborns who want to be tested for chlamydia just in case if the mother passed it on or not to them. Treatment, research efforts, and future outlook. Treatment is by antibiotics, and it's a one-time dose or multiple times a day for a period of time. And during this time, you should abstain from sex while you are treating yourself of chlamydia. And if you have a partner, your partner should get tested if you have the infection. And if you're not treated when you have chlamydia, you may lead your body to a downhill turn. You could lead your body to have pelvic inflammatory disease, or if you're a woman, you could have premature births or infertility, and that could happen in men as well. For men, you can also develop urethritis, and which is inflammation in your urethra. Also, for men and women, if you have chlamydia and you don't treat it, intercourse will be painful. Some future outlooks for for chlamydia is that there hasn't been necessarily a discovery or a vaccine or just like a positive outlook treatment. They just found the development of antigens that may arise into a vaccine later on, but more research is still underway. And when I was reading, that was around like the 1980s, so we may actually be closer than that, but who knows? Time will tell. Hopefully, we won't not find a vaccine for it. So that is all, and my references are on the screen, and this is actually a photo of the C. trachomatis bacteria. I thought that was pretty interesting, and if you guys have any questions, let me know. Thanks.